Great day, everyone! Welcome to the 15th week of Learning Media and Information Literacy. I am your host, Teacher Sheng, and I'm happy to virtually engage with you today. Welcome to Valenzuela Live. Here are some reminders for today's learning engagement. Number 1, prepare your learning module. Number 2, use the chat box for your responses and enjoy learning. The most essential learning competency for this lesson is describe the different dimensions of audio information and media. The specific learning objectives of this lesson are: number 1, identify characteristics, format, types, and sources of audio information media. Number 2, recognize the advantages and limitations of audio information. Number 3, differentiate hearing versus listening and learning out loud. And number 4, value the importance of the difference between real and fake news. Becoming an information literate individual includes understanding on the different dimensions of audio information and media. Before we start, let us have a quick review of what we had discussed last time. For directions, arrange the scrambled letters to identify different types of visual information. You will be given 5 seconds to identify each of them. Number 1, it is an art form that creates pictures using a flat medium such as canvas or board and paint. Your time starts now. The answer is painting. You are correct. Number 2, it can tell a story or even let the viewer feel emotions by just looking at it. Your time starts now. The answer is images. You got it. Number 3, an example of three-dimensional artwork that shows replica of the model. Your time starts now. The answer is sculpture. You're doing great. Number 4, it pertains to a diagram that shows variable with corresponding interpretation. Your time starts now. The answer is graphs. Awesome! And number 5, it refers to a large outdoor board containing text information and image designs posted as a form of advertisement. Your time starts now. The answer is billboard. You nailed it! Multimedia and information providers play a vital role in information and communication processes. Nowadays, different forms of media become the common outlet of sending messages, self-expressions, and showcasing creativity. Let us start by identifying the following materials. Use the chat box or comment section for your answers. You are right! These are radio, television, music, cell phones, and other gadgets which are the sources of audio media that benefit people in retrieving and disseminating information. Since we are talking about audio, let us define what audio is. Audio is the audible part of a transmitted signal. It is a sound that is recorded, transmitted, or reproduced. Let us define now what audio information is. Audio information pertains to any sound or auditory impression perceived by the ears and processed by the brain. Audio information media are materials or sound that are transmitted, produced, or received through high-fidelity waves that are heard through certain equipment. Some examples of audio media are telephone, voicemail, audio tape, compact disc, and audio conference like teleconferencing. Now, let us identify the characteristics of audio information and media. First, it is built or ideal for existing music and noise. Second, it refers to analog tape, cassettes, and digital, as well as to computer files containing audio in any number of digital formats. Third, it minimizes the vague concepts in our mind. Fourth, it helps retaining our interests. Fifth, it stimulates the imaginations, critical thinking, and creates mind image to the listener. And lastly, it is relatively inexpensive compared to video. What are the different audiophile formats? Number 1, MP3 or the MPEG Audio Layer 3. It is a standard format of digital audio compression for the transfer and playback of music on the most digital audio player. Number 2, M4A or the AAC, the MPEG Audio Advanced Audio Coding. An audio coding standard for lossy digital audio compression. It is designed to be the successor of the MP3 format. Number 3, the WAV or the Waveform Audiophile format. It is a Microsoft audiophile format standard for game sound and storing an audio bit stream. And lastly, number 4, the WMA or the Windows Media Audio. It is an audio data compression technology used with Window Media Player. Let us move on the different types of audio information. Number 1, we have the dialogue or conversation. It is an exchange of ideas which takes place between the people who are talking. Examples are having conversation on telephone, cell phones, and the like. Number 2, lecture or talk. The participants can acquire information from the speaker. Just like the current platform we are using in our classes like video conferences, live streaming, and online follow-up class. Number 3, the news. Through the news, the public learns information about events happen locally and internationally. News can be heard through radio and television. Number 4, the podcast. It refers to the digital audio file which can be downloaded on the computer with internet access. Number 5, the audiobook. A talking book as there is a complete recording of entire text which is read. Number 6, we have the music. It refers to vocal or instrumental sounds or both which express a specific tune. Some examples of music are classical, we have opera, ballad, reggae, OPM, rock or punk, which are commonly liked by the youth today. Also, the hip-hop or rap, and the world music. Here are commonly sources of audio information. We have the radio, television, music, cell phones, e-books, and other electronic gadgets. Now that we are already identified the characteristics, types, formats, and sources of audio information, let us discuss the advantages and limitations of audio information and media. For the advantages, number 1, it is easier to process since the information is already communicated verbally. Number 2, The audience pays more attention to the information, making it easier to absorb the content. Number 3, audio information is much faster to relay since it can be said orally. For the limitations, we have number 1, retention of information could be difficult since the details were relayed orally. Number 2, the audience can become easily distracted if the sound is not audible. Number 3, it requires good communication and listening skills. The one who will relay the information should be a good speaker, and the receiver should have a good command of the language to understand the information. Though there are some limitations in retrieving and in disseminating of audio information, here are some importance of audio information media. Number 1, it is useful for auditory person. Audio media is important because it caters people who are audio learners. It finds easier for them to learn, and the retention of the learning is deeper if they are listening. Number 2, it is an effective type of media in presenting lessons, topics, proposals, and self-expressions. Audio information is one of the basic types of media, but it is very effective and makes the information more interesting by using audio. Let us now differentiate hearing versus listening and learning out loud. When we say hearing, it is a sense that helps us receive sound waves and noise by ears. It is the power of perceiving sounds. It is an involuntary process that starts with noise and vibration, the movement of the fluid in the ears and sounds sent to the brain. While listening, it requires focus, for your brain processes the meaning from words and sentences. It is a voluntary act where we try to roll some of the noise we hear and leads to learning. Learning out loud. The learning is more effective when aided with sounds. Learning out loud is similar with learning with sounds. Some people learn and understand things they do with music or background. Learning and understanding is more effective because the more senses involved in learning, the better. To sum up the important points of the lesson, today you have learned the following. First, characteristics, format, types, and sources of audio information media. Next, advantages and limitations of audio information media. Number 3, importance of audio information media and hearing versus listening and learning out loud. Now, I am sure enough that you are ready to have a short assessment. For directions, carefully read each question or statement and choose your answer from the choices given. You have 5 seconds to choose your answer. Just a reminder, answer all questions honestly based on what you have learned today. For number 1, an exchange of ideas that takes place between the people who are talking. The choices are audiobook, dialogue, lecture, and podcast. Your time starts now. Your answer is dialogue. You are correct. Number 2, it refers to digital audio file which can be downloaded on the computer with internet access. The choices are audiobook, lecture, news, and podcast. Your time starts now. The answer is podcast. That is great. Number 3, It is a sense that helps you receive sound waves and noise by ears. The choices are hearing, lecture, listening, and music. Your time starts now. The answer is hearing. You are correct. You are making my job fun. Next, number 4. It allows the participants to acquire information from the speaker. The choices are audiobook, dialogue, lecture, and music. Your time starts now. The answer is lecture. That is great. For the last number 5, it requires focus so that the brain processes meaning from words and sentences. The choices are audiobook, hearing, listening, and music. Your time starts now. The answer is listening. Amazing! How many of you got perfect score? Wow! Congratulations! I hope you learned and enjoy our self-check activity. For your assignment, number 1, define what is motion information media. Number 2, identify types of motion information media. And number 3, familiarize yourselves with the advantages and limitations of motion information media. For your reference, please check your Media and Information Literacy module for Quarter 4, weeks 9 to 16 on pages 25 to 29. Before we end this learning engagement, let me leave you a quote from an American education superintendent, Dr. Daniel L. Fraser. He said, "Technology opens the door to the world. It's up to us to walk through it in a meaningful and respectful way." That is all for today. I hope you learn and enjoy from today's learning engagement. Again, I am Teacher Sheng, your host for today, saying, anuman ang sitwasyon, tuloy ang edukasyon. Have a blessed day everyone and keep safe.